your life and your family's life is worth it. If you don't train, the risk of serious injury or worse is definitely looming. My name is Bryce Martin. I work with the Nampa Police Department in Idaho. I've been with them for about 18 years currently. I work patrol, day shift. I also am heavily involved in training and teaching for the entire department and with the state academy as well. I teach defensive tactics, which we call Archon, and I also teach emergency vehicle operations and civil disturbance.
How did you get started in Jiu Jitsu? And when did you start?
Oh, I've been involved in martial arts probably since I was 12 years old. I'm 45 right now. I started judo probably back when I was 23 years old. I was going to BSU. And I did that for about 15 years. And that kind of fell apart during COVID. So I started looking for somewhere to train, and I was encouraged by some guys that I worked with that had just started with 208 Jiu Jitsu. And after just training with a short time, I fell in love with the place and the people and the community that exists here.
How has Jiu Jitsu influenced or improved your performance as a police officer?
Oh, substantially improved my performance. You don't have to worry as much anymore when you know you can handle yourself. You just deal with the situation knowing that if that part comes to you, you can handle yourself in probably the most vulnerable position, which could be a position on your back and on the ground, especially with all the amount of gear we carry as well. I've been doing this for about 4 years now, roughly, almost about 4 years now, and just the confidence level in 4 years is night and day.
Can you share any specific situations where your Jiu Jitsu training has been beneficial in your law enforcement duties?
With patrol, we obviously respond to firsthand situations that are developing at the time, and in multiple fights throughout my career with violent individuals. I've been in a fight over a gang member's gun, which obviously went to the ground with another officer, and the ability to stay composed and calm in that situation, I think makes all the difference.
In what ways has Jiu Jitsu contributed to your personal growth and development?
Personal growth, that's a good question. Personal growth. I just think it's just a happier person. I think my wife sees that in me when I'm training regularly. You just kind of seem happier, more clear, because when you're exercising, it's not super high impact on my body the older I get as well. And body in motion stays in motion. So that's kind of my theory as I get older, is I'll be a much happier person and a more energetic person as I get older by staying involved.
And so talking about getting older, how do you balance the mental demands and the physical demands from both being a police officer and Jiu Jitsu?
Yeah, it's a lot of, I'm pretty busy between the amount of training I do and my regular patrol shift that I have to do. So that can be very challenging. I try to make it to where I'm here twice a week minimum. And that's a personal goal for myself, especially no matter how tired I am or exhausted I am, is just staying there. And I notice that when I do that and I keep that minimum of at least keeping myself going, I am a much happier person in general. And my son and I have been training together for a long time as well. He also helps encourage me to show up when I'm too sore or exhausted.
How has Jiu Jitsu training fostered a sense of community and camaraderie among police officers?
Oh gosh, when I first started at the Nampa Police Department in 2005, I was probably one of the only ones that trained outside of work. I saw the need for it, and I really tried to help foster a change in encouraging people to train. Now I would be willing to say there's at least 30 or more officers within our department that train, and that created its own community within our own department of people who train together, and most of them actually train here at 208. And so it's kind of like its own group of very confident individuals who have something in common. I think you need that, to create a community, is that common base amongst each other and like-minded people, right?
What would you attribute to sort of fostering that growth or helping, because it almost sounds like a cultural change that's happened since you've been on, where you're the only one training, to where now you have a lot of the members training. What would you say attributes to that success and that growth there?
I think the most important thing is allowing for individuals to be successful. And I say that in a sense where you can go to a gym and you can get smashed every single day. And you're not learning a lot. You feel, like you're just getting beat up. When you have people who are willing to be good partners, who are willing to help you get better, it encourages them that, hey, this isn't that bad. This isn't that scary. And then comes the enjoyment of it. Learning something new, picking it up, having fellow people who will help you through that process instead of just there to win.
Do you think, is there any other factors that you can think of that would prevent a police officer from training jiu-jitsu, aside from being that sort of scary unknown?
There's always the financial side and time. I think financial side and time are the two biggest opponents that officers have when trying to get into this.
What advice do you have for others looking to balance a career in law enforcement with jiu-jitsu?
I say it every time I teach academies that your life and your family's life is worth it. If you don't train, the risk of serious injury or worse is definitely looming. And it's worth your health. You stay active, you stay in shape. And it's also worth going home at the end of the day, for both the people you work with and your family. And so take that time out of your life to make it important, to be successful and confident, and go home at the end of the day.
How has jiu-jitsu helped you to stay mentally resilient and focused in high-stress situations?
Jiu-jitsu has shown me that somebody who's much larger than myself, much stronger than myself, without any kind of training in their background, it doesn't really stand a chance. A lot of times I tell people you just kind of have to weather that first 30 seconds. And if you can stay composed for that first 30 seconds in a fight, you are most likely going to win that fight. And then it also creates that confidence in yourself to know that even if I'm getting hurt during the situation, I'm still there, I'm still fine, I can still weather this situation and make it out on top.
So what do you think of about the initiative to sponsor first responders for jiu-jitsu training?
I think that's fantastic. I couldn't think of a better opportunity for people to have that sponsorship, because that takes one of those things off their plate, the ability to not have to worry about the financial side of being able to make it here. Because jiu-jitsu can be a little expensive, especially when you're thinking of budgeting for your family and your kids and your priorities.
So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how you answer this one. So this one is, so what qualities and commitments should applicants highlight in their applications for sponsorship? So we're going to be taking on, I don't know the full application process, but obviously I want to have some sort of commitment, some sort of vetting process. And I think it's going to be very simple, but what should potential candidates sort of highlight in that process?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because you don't want somebody that's just going to show up one day and then quit, right? I think, do they have a history of sticking with things, whether it be education or to their own department, training, working out? Were they part of a sports team when they're in high school? Did they stick with it? I think that's kind of the biggest thing you're looking for, is do they exhibit some type of discipline? Because you're investing in an individual and hoping that they continue with this, and it's not just a here or there kind of thing. I would kind of venture into that area, try to see if you can add some questions that might spark that kind of, mindset.
Yeah, I like that. So do you have any final thoughts or messages you'd like to share with our audience regarding the intersection of law enforcement and jiu-jitsu? Final thoughts, last message.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's worth your life. I do. I don't know what else to say other than, you know, when you're faced with your own mortality every day, you know, it's like they told me in the military that there are no atheists in foxholes, you know, and I think that it's worth your family's life at the same time.
That's awesome.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, cool.